What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So I did want to go over something I have been noticing recently in some of the comments. That is going to be if the legend points are actually working as they should be, or if they're most likely going to be bugged out in some way. Now, I was testing out the legend rich and the extra pump. Also did end up testing out the ventilated as well. Now, I do want to mention, by the way, I do feel like if you are wondering, are the legend points going to be broken? From the testing I did do last night, I would have to say the immediate answer to that is no. I also want to back that up with showing how they actually are working. So the first thing, guys, here is I am running the 918 Spider with a Loot Digger set. That way I don't have anything on this that is going to be making the Legend or like the Rich give you more money or XP that way. And I'm also getting extra parts that I do not need. But I did want to show this though, that way you can see if they are going to be working as intended. And I'm not going to have any extra like multipliers on this or extra percentages. Now I did want to mention something about the legend points here if you guys might have been wondering if this does actually make a difference. So the first thing I do want to mention is I did actually reset the entire page in this. That way I can show you how this does actually work. So the first one is going to be the legend points here maxed out at 20 points is going to be a 20% XP gain boost. Now the thing is, if you actually reset this and head over to the event, for this, by the way, I am going to be at the Hyper Evolution. You are then going to notice at level 5, which by the way, I do not have all of this stuff off though, I am going to get 7,920 points. At level 1, I'm going to get 6,960 points. Now the crazy part about this though is if I do go back to the menu here, and then heading back into the main driver and heading over to the legend points, and then adding this to a 20% XP gain, you're then going to notice it does actually increase it. Now at first I was kind of confused because I was like, wait a minute, is it not going to increase it? Does this not work? But it does turn out you will then see 9,120 points on level 5. And then, of course, going back down to level 1, 8,160. So at least we do know the 20% boost on the legend points is going to actually work as it should be with the events. Now, the other one I did want to take a look at is going to be the ventilated to see if it does actually make a difference. Now, of course, to test out the ventilated perk, I did actually want to use a rally raid vehicle on this running a Fade Magnet set. That way, of course, it's not going to give me like an extra booster on it. Also, the first run I am going to do here is going to be with no points at all on ventilated to see if this really does make a difference. Now, of course, moving over to the first test here with the lovely 959 raid. I do want to mention, by the way, I will be going off of the cliff right in front of me here, basically in 4th gear, with pretty much no nitrous at all to see how much this does actually go up. Now, I would say without ventilated, it probably shouldn't be going up that quick whatsoever, because it is most likely going to be like a stock type of feeling to it, which of course everybody does have the exact same nitrous buildup when it is not active. Now the question is, does it make a difference? And then let's do the exact same thing for a second run here, once again being in 4th gear, having little to no nitrous. The difference now is I am going to have 40 points on ventilated to see if it does make a difference. So jumping off right now, you will immediately see how much faster that actually is. Going off of that in 4th gear, I almost got half of my nitrous back, which not only is that going to make a difference in the legend points, I would even say having this on some of your perks on parts would probably be pretty dang good. Now the last thing I did want to test out though is going to be the skilled perk as well, because I was hearing something that this was also not working as intended. So if you are wondering, by the way, completely maxed out at 40 points is only going to be a 10% increase, which I would say would actually make a difference, especially in the summits. Now I do want to mention though, the first run I am going to do is going to be with nothing on it. I am also going to be running a hypercar with a nitrochemist set active. That way I have no extra perks for skilled, to see if it really does work. Now for the first run, I am going to be running the Countach once again, but for this I will also be using a Nitrochemist set as well, just to see how this is going to make a difference on this. Now I do want to mention though, I'm not going to go out of 3rd gear this entire time I do test it out, and the reason for that though is I do want to see if it does make a difference, not only if you're going to be going faster, but if you really do get an increase at the end of the slaloms. Now, of course, doing a second run, though, I actually got around 7,200 points my first run, which some of that might have been the fact that I was running in 4th gear in some of the area in the beginning. For the second one though, I am going to be in 3rd gear the entire time in this. I do want to mention, by the way, I also have the 40 points on skilled, which of course is going to be about a 10% increase in your overall score. So from running that slalom 2 different times, I got around a 300 point increase running it a second time with the 10% active, which I would probably say isn't going to be the biggest increase ever. Now, of course, I did want to do a second run running the Chinatown slalom there in Honolulu. It does turn out, by the way, I also stayed in 2nd gear both times I did it. Now, the first run I did do on this, I got around 7,042 points, which I would say is probably going to be fairly accurate going around 2nd gear, and also not being all that insanely quick on it. Now, the second run, though, with the 10% active from the legend points, I got around 7,470 points, so there is going to be a difference there of around 430 points from it, while the other one I did do was probably a little over 300, so I have also been doing a lot of different events and grinding out so many different races with basically every vehicle class so far. I can definitely say Rich and Legend are going to be working perfectly, but on the flip side, it's still not going to be known if Lucky and Goldfinger are working as they should be, but I would also like to see a slight increase in maybe Rich and Legend maybe being double to what they are now. That way, if you are grinding out these classes, you will at least get more money and XP doing that, but I guess time is only going to tell on that. I would also like to know what you guys think about this in the comments below. I am glad I was able to test these out and really see if they are working as intended. And I would say so far, like even skilled, is going to be working correctly.